Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Quarantine with Christine. If you are brand new, I started this show once I went into quarantine last Tuesday, so it's been a week. Hi, Autumn, and hi, Kristen and Abby, and it says one other. I don't know who it is. Hi, Erica. And so I started this so that I could just talk to people I like about the coronavirus. Hi, Katie. And the point of this is for this to feel like a communal conversation. So I say this every time we start, but as you're watching, if you have questions or comments, please write them in there. I would love to hear from you and your perspective as well. But today I'm very excited. We're going to jump right in because tonight I'm getting to talk with my cousin, Erica, and so I'm going to invite her into this live. And I'm super stoked. I don't know the last time we talked. I don't even know if we've ever actually talked. So you guys are in for a historic moment in my life. Hello.
Hi, Christine. Finally.
How are you, Erica?
I'm good. I'm doing good. Yeah.
What time is it over there right now?
It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I woke up like an hour ago.
But great job. I'm so proud of you. 8 in the morning. That's a 15-hour time difference between us, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was actually trying to think it through before we even get started talking. Have we ever met in real life?
Yeah, I think like 18 years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, it might have been when I was like in 5th grade. I'm pretty sure like we came back to Hong Kong and I'm pretty sure we like saw each other then, but I'm like, we've never talked. We just like, and like in 2016 when I went back to Hong Kong, you weren't there.
I went to China for training for a month. Yeah, that's why we didn't get to.
Tell them what you were training for. This is epic.
Yeah, I'm still a student athlete and I'm swimming. Yeah.
Yes. You were like swimming for the Olympic trials, weren't you?
Not that high level maybe, but then yeah, still sometimes competing for Hong Kong. And yeah, swimming, like I used to swim like 10 sessions in a week, but then since there's the coronavirus, we stopped training for a month. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Well, so you're a student. Where do you go to school?
I'm having my bachelor degree in Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and I'm doing engineering.
Engineering. So you're much smarter than me. That's what I'm learning right now. It's true. It's okay. How old are you?
I'm 22. And
22.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking about, I was like, I don't actually know how old she is. I'm 28, almost 29, almost 30. Ugh. Okay, yes. So let me ask you a few questions. Like, you've grown up in Hong Kong your whole life. Yeah. What's your favorite thing about being from Hong Kong?
First, I like the pace here. It sounds weird because like people in Hong Kong really like walk fast. They do everything in a very fast pace, and yeah, that's why I'm so used to the pace here, and everything is so like efficient. And sometimes when I'm in another country, like I feel like people there are so slow. Yeah, that's why I like the people here. And I like the people, of course, because like I've been here for more than 20 years, and yeah, from swimming pool I've met a lot of people, and that's why I like the people here. And yeah, one thing I like about Hong Kong, like other than other countries, is that like there isn't really like much natural hazards in Hong Kong. Like if you can notice, like there's not much cases that Hong Kong will have tsunami, earthquakes, and stuff. Yeah,
so not very many natural disasters.
Yeah, it's really like peaceful to live here.
Peaceful, except extremely fast paced. I told my mom my one complaint about our trip when we went back to Hong Kong was there was nowhere to sit because everyone's just always moving, and I was so tired, and I was like, I just want to sit in a cafe or something, and there was none. So I like sat on this like ledge near a mall, and then the security guard yelled at me. It was like, you can't sit here. I was like, I'm just so tired. I don't want to do this anymore. But everyone
just rush through everything in Hong Kong.
Yeah. It's so fast paced, and there's so many people. Can I ask you, when you think about Americans and you think about America, what comes to mind? What do you think of?
I guess it's the difference in like population density. Like people in Hong Kong really just like we are everywhere's full of people. Like even
Mm-hmm.
on the metro and on the street everywhere. We
Mm-hmm.
just like there are people around us everywhere. Like
Yeah.
however if we like think of the States, it feels like there are so many like rural areas and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people get a more relaxing life there, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yep.
biggest
There,
difference.
there's definitely a lot of rural areas, especially in the middle. It's just like cornfields. So not a lot to see.
Yeah, and one thing I think it's special for Hong Kong is that it only takes like 2 hours to travel from the two furthest point in Hong Kong. So that's why the difference between like within the whole Hong Kong is there's not big difference between like unlike the States where there are places like where are um, very advanced in like maybe economic and other
Mm-hmm.
high technologies, but then in Hong Kong there's not much difference all over
Sure.
like every places. Yeah.
That makes sense. I think your friend is saying hello to you.
早上.
Joe-san.
Yeah. It means good
Uh,
morning.
Good morning. Okay, so can you tell me about when the coronavirus stuff first hit Hong Kong? Like, when did it happen? Do you remember? Like, what was the news saying? And then how did people react?
Actually, we first like for Hong Kong people, we first know about the virus in like late December, I guess. But then we knew it through the internet and all the forums and stuff, saying that
Mm-hmm.
there's an outbreak of the virus in China. But then
Mm-hmm.
since the report didn't really mention it, some people in China just said that we were like overreacting, and it was
Okay.
until late January, where right after the Chinese New Year,
Mm-hmm.
when we were still having our Chinese New Year holiday, then it gets more serious and there's an outbreak in Hong Kong. Yeah, then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, after that we had suspension in classes and all the like so many public facilities were closed. For example, like the library, swimming pools, everything was shut down. And so yeah, and since then I think it's all shut till now. So
It's
yeah,
still shut right now.
yeah.
Wow.
And actually at first for the like first month we don't get many cases every day. But then after like the outbreak in the States and UK and yeah as well and Europe as well, people like many students studying abroad start to come back, and yeah suddenly the cases of being infected jumps to like 60 cases per day, which is a lot for Hong Kong already,
Yeah.
you know, because the Hong Kong has a small population. And yeah, so but luckily the people like being dead was not so many. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
there
yeah,
hasn't been a lot of deaths in Hong Kong.
I guess people are handling it well. They learn
Yeah.
from States, which is like another virus, which is similar to Corona 20 years ago.
Yeah, I remember SARS when I was younger. So, can you tell everyone how many people live in Hong Kong?
Um, it's
Do you know?
something like 7 million people.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
like a little. I was researching earlier, and I was like, it's like 7.3 million. And so do you know how many? I looked it up earlier, but do you know how many cases are currently in Hong Kong right now for coronavirus?
I guess it's not even 1,000.
No, I looked it up this morning, and it said like 386.
Yeah.
So, which is crazy to me because everyone that's watching right now that's from the States. So, Hong Kong has 7.3 million people. Compare that to New York City. New York City has 8.6 million people. And New York's first case was the beginning of March. And so there's like about a month difference between when it started in Hong Kong and when it started in New York. And today in New York City, there's 25,665 cases confirmed, which is crazy. And Hong Kong is smaller than New York by a lot. It's 110 times smaller in area. So to me, it's crazy because you guys are so much more compact than even
Yeah.
New York City. And there's only 386 cases right now. Like for everyone that lives in the United States, Hong Kong is 2.4 times smaller than Rhode Island. So just imagine that. But there's 7.3 million people. So it's amazing.
Yeah,
So
and logically, like people, because like Hong Kong is really like connected to China, and the like the people flow is quite high every day because like people
yeah,
come to Hong Kong from mainland and also from other places. So the people flow is quite high, and I'm still amazed by yeah because like people really protect themselves well. So that's why I guess we were not much affected by the virus.
yeah, because it's Hong Kong's a giant international hub. Like people are coming in and out. So can you tell me, like, once like the coronavirus started, how did Hong Kong handle it? Because you said people protected themselves really well. So what did the government do? What did everybody that's living there do? Inez
Um,
says, "Boo, USA." Nice, Inez.
oh, hi. So we first actually before the outbreak, because like we know that people are going to like go to the supermarket and buy all the daily necessities because like we're afraid that once maybe if there's a um outbreak it's like internationally because there won't be any supply of like food or even like daily necessities, so we
Mm-hmm.
went to the market and buy a lot of like these stuffs. And also we like first of all we bought a lot of masks.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because like we don't really have self-produced masks in Hong Kong, so we have to buy it from places like Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and even the States. Yeah, because like at first the virus was still like mainly in China and
Mm-hmm.
Hong Kong. Yeah, so that's why like the mass supply for other countries in Asia were still like enough. So that's why we bought
Yeah.
from other like Southeast Asia countries, and
Sure.
then we start to have like alcoholic like hand sprays and stuff because like we know that it's so easy for like once we get back to home from the street we'll have to like take showers and clean ourselves at first. That's
Yeah.
why yeah we really like because like we don't want to bring the virus home. That's why that's the measures we took at first.
Yeah. From
But
the very beginning.
yeah it was really hard to buy face masks at first
Mm-hmm.
um because everyone was buying it, especially because like the biggest supply used to be China, but yeah that's why it was hard for us to get one that those back then. But then it's better now because we have our own production line in Hong Kong.
Okay. That's awesome. That's really good. Um, can you talk about like what has changed like since the end of January to now? Has anything changed in terms of people's behavior or what the government is doing or saying since like now it's almost the end of March? Or is everything kind of been the same? Like from the beginning, government was just like everyone's shutting down and then all the people are wearing masks.
It used to be so intense, like the atmosphere is so intense in late January because like when we look in like videos in from the forums, like people from China just like the outbreak, we knew it that it was quite serious. That's
Mm-hmm.
why the atmosphere was first very intense because like we are always afraid that the virus there will be another outbreak in Hong Kong. The government didn't really lock down the city until Wednesday, which is today, and
Did it?
so
Okay.
yeah, that's why we kind of had the feeling that we have to protect ourselves, and so
Huh.
it was first intense because like even civil servants were all like they all work from home. They don't have to
Okay.
go to work. That's why and school were suspended. So that's why there wasn't like people really stay in their home even if they are not having their quarantine. And it
So
was
was school shutdowns not government mandated? Like the schools just decided on their own?
yeah, the government announced the suspension of school, but they didn't like lock down the whole city.
Okay,
And
that makes sense.
yeah, and it was told that from the internet that we can still, it's like safe is to hike or have some activities in the like more rural areas. So people still sometimes maybe in the weekend will go for a hike and stuff. But then it was, so I feel like the whole atmosphere actually like was relaxed a bit in maybe like February. But then
Okay.
after, like, if you can remember, it was until March that the the states and all the Western countries start to have be infected. And so yeah, so in fact in March, I mean, people from overseas studying start to come back, and the cases confirmed just suddenly bombs up. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why this it feels like the whole atmosphere is being tensed again.
Again.
Really this week. Yeah.
This week. Sorry that we did that to you guys, apparently.
But it's okay because like I feel like people just go home from where they're studying, so it's not their fault.
Yeah. Hi, Drexel. Can you talk about, so the coronavirus hasn't been the only thing that's been majorly affecting Hong Kong. There's been a lot going on in Hong Kong the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about oh, wait, Inez has a question. How has coronavirus affected the fight against extradition law / police brutality? So Inez, you're jumping ahead on my question because I wanted to ask you about what else has been happening in Hong Kong.
Yeah, there was a like movement in Hong Kong since June last year. It was when the government wants to imply a law which I'm not sure what it's called, but then it's more or less like if the transfer of criminals. Do you know about it? Do you know about it? So yeah, the government wants to imply it without like really consulting from many parties, and that's why people were quite people just like feel like they need to voice out their opinion. And I try to be politically like neutral here, but then yeah, people start having protests and stuff, but then seems like the government didn't really quite listen to us. So that's why the movement lasts for more than half year. And I think the coronavirus kind of like hold and stopped some activities because like people know that they can't really gather on the street, and yeah, it's not safe to do that as well. So people just like stopped some physical activities about the movement. And yeah, but then I guess people still like maybe they will still on social media, they will still post stuff about it, telling like introducing this about this to more people through the social media and stuff.
Sure.
So the movement didn't really stop because of the coronavirus. It's still going on in the internet, I guess.
But it just moved online. Has the police brutality declined then? Like, because I know that when the movements first began and the Hong Kong protests began, especially in the fall, like at least here in the States, we were reading a lot of news about just extreme violence of police on the streets. And has that gotten better since like it's all online now? Or not all online, but mostly online?
I mean, the amount of cases, of course, has declined because decreased because like there are less people on the street. But then the cases, I don't think it gets better because like whenever there's even if there's a small like protest or whatever on the street, the case is still the same. Yeah, it just that
so like the behavior is still the same.
Yeah, it's just that maybe because like I hope that because no, actually one thing is that one factor that kind of hindered the police brutal was the media on the spot, which maybe have sometimes because they will have live video of the protest. So probably because the police feels like the whole world is watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it gets better if there are media in on the spot. But then, since now, I guess really maybe less press were concerned about the protest because of coronavirus. So I'm kind of worried that if there's no press on the spot, the yeah, things get worse. I that's just one of my concerns.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have like friends that had been participating in the protests, or had you been participating in any protests?
Actually, because like it's kind of a taboo because like people
Hmm.
feel like if they are on the street, they can be charged as a real riot, and
Okay.
yeah, that's why it's kind of a taboo to say whether you really participate in any of the like protests. But then yeah,
Hmm.
I know that most of my friends are kind of like support the movement
Sure.
because actually it makes sense to support it, but then
Can
it's
you
yeah.
explain it a little bit more? Like, so you were talking about the transferring of criminals. So what does the government want to do in Hong Kong that all the people are against in these protests?
um because at first we just want the government to abandon the law, because like it was about if people yeah the law was kind of about they can transfer people from Hong Kong to mainland China if mainland claim that they violate any law in outside Hong Kong. So yeah,
Yeah.
people are quite insecure that they are afraid that they may get just caught out of nothing. So that's
Yeah.
why we were, because like Hong Kong used to be known about the like all the judiciary
Hmm.
and um, freedom and stuff. So that's why we were quite offended because we
Sure.
think yeah, it's doesn't make sense. So yeah, at first people were fighting for this, but then after realizing all the other like problems, like for example, the government is so post China and pro China, and
Hmm.
maybe about the police force as well. So many other problems were aroused other than just the extradition law. So
Sure.
yeah, people start to have all the other demands.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, if you have heard of it before, we have a slogan like five demand, not one less, because those demands are about yeah the extradition law, the police force, and even the like we feel like we have to not really reorganize the government, but then we have to like really have a review on yeah everything, and we
Yeah.
also want a higher like transparency when for all these like judicial and stuff. Yeah, we want more transparency for that. That's why
Yeah.
that's the yeah five demands because yeah, and government like um the government said keep claiming that it was we were like I mean people were riots, so we
Yeah.
want the government to take it back as well. So yeah,
Sure.
that was more or less the five demands.
Yeah. So, like, for people that are watching that are from the States, it's hard. I think it's harder for us to grasp because there's such an intricate. I think everyone thinks people from Hong Kong and Taiwan and in China, they're all the same, you know. But there's some very specific cultures, and in Hong Kong, that it's more of an international hub. There's a lot. There has been a lot more freedoms, but now it's kind of getting conglomerated or getting added back to China in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of fear because there's such a different level of freedom. There's way less freedom in mainland China than in Hong Kong, and so some of these laws are making it so it could be possible that someone could just get called out that's a citizen of Hong Kong, and they might not have done something, but they could get taken to China. And so that I think that that's for those people who don't totally understand what's going on or haven't researched it or looked it up yet. I think that that's like that would be a really scary thing of like it'd be like if for us if Canada somehow we were attached to Canada and like Canada had like a very extreme government system and somehow they could just randomly decide you random person in the United States we're taking you and we're going to put you on trial for crimes, and I think I have heard, maybe I'm wrong on this, that it's definitely like way easier to have unfair trials in China where they can just accuse you and punish you like
Yeah,
without.
because Hong Kong was used to be a colony under England, so that's why we
Yes.
got a one country two system. Like we were part of, like we were locationally part of China, but then we adopt like a different, totally different system from China. So that's why.
Yeah.
But I guess people in the Western countries or other foreign countries can't like really extinguish people from Hong Kong and from China.
Yeah, it's hard. Hi, Jasper.
Yeah.
Jasper's from Ireland. See, and I remember I was born in 1991. I was born during the years where Hong Kong was a colony of Great Britain. And so for the longest time, my passport was like British national overseas, which is like, everyone was like, wait, what? But it is hard for everyone to like figure out, I think, in Western countries, like, oh, it's not all the same. You're not, what? But I think like that part is so important of like, there is like such a strong culture in Hong Kong that is saying like we want freedom, we don't want to just get taken in that thing. So can I ask you like how has that combination of the coronavirus and the protests affected you or the people of Hong Kong from your perspective?
Um. So first of all, for the habit, because like, actually, because of the protest, we had the school was suspended since last November. I mean,
Oh
it's
wow.
not exactly suspend, but like we maybe will have some day off when the movement gets really intense. Especially for universities where the police actually like the police just because I remember it was like on the 11th of November when
Okay.
I I I had a test at school in the morning. So suddenly the police just break into the campus and said that there are
Wow.
criminals campus and they shoot tear gas and stuff. Yeah. And
Wow.
it was since that day university were the first schools to suspend in Hong Kong. And yeah, and then it spread to like secondary schools and eventually in I guess early December when yeah all kindergarten, primary schools, secondary schools were all suspended. And yeah, so it was yeah, that was kind of I guess it's the biggest biggest yeah effect for students. But then mentally, first it brought a lot of like reflection to us. Like we really start to reflect upon ourselves whether what we just want to live a life, the life that we were told to live, or do we really are we really satisfied with what we are having now? Like since young the people because like people in Hong Kong are really realistic, I guess, because they won't I mean they have dreams but they won't really work on their dreams. I mean they just follow the template, kind of the template for
Yeah.
life for everyone. They just go to school, find a job, graduate and then find a job and then they work for it. And it was yeah quite different from other countries. We don't I guess I know like from other countries, university students tends to have a gap year before they work or stuff. But then in Hong Kong, we just graduate and immediately find a job. So yeah, that's a very big difference as well. And so after the movement and also the outbreak of coronavirus, we start to like really think of are we happy for what we are now, and do we really like just want to live a life as we were told. So yeah, that's the biggest reflection that everyone had. And we also had a lot of thoughts like dignity or yeah for freedom and stuff. So that's why it brought a lot of impact to people, because Hong Kong people used to be so politically apathetic because we feel like it's we're not involved in political, so that's why people didn't really care about political at first. But yeah, it was since June, because we feel like oh actually in Hong Kong we have a saying, if even if you don't care about the political will still care about you. So Yeah, so that's
How do you say that
it
in
means that
Cantonese?
um 你唔揾政治，政治 means political, and 你唔揾政治，政治都會揾你。Like
Huh.
even if you don't find political, the political will find you back. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a saying in Hong Kong, and yeah, that's why since last June we really like mentally had a lot of thoughts, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's really, I mean, that's so, I think like so different, like hearing that, and it's making me think about like how like our country has reacted, not just about like in terms of keeping the virus quarantined or whatever. I think for us, it's like a lot of the complaints about like the coronavirus and all that stuff. Like even when I talked with a psychologist a couple of days ago was about, you know, a lot of us feel really trapped and our lives are on a halt and it's hard and everyone's stuck at home with their kids and like everyone's just like we're bored and we want to get out and like I think the American pace isn't. I was thinking about it a lot like just this morning of like I think our pace of life is so much more about we like to indulge in our luxuries. So like if I want to go to the store right now, I'm going to get in my car and go to the store. And if I want to go hang out with my friends, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And it's interesting that like in a country where it's so practical that, you know, it was like right away you guys were able to just as individuals keep the virus from spreading. But somehow this time of not having education, instead of everyone being like, I'm bored and my kids are at home, it's like been like, oh my gosh, we have dreams and we never noticed. And that's such a
we are
different.
back to the start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's so
actually
interesting.
I'm quite grateful that it was the first time I feel like the spirit among Hong Kong people were yeah quite united. That it was the first
Mhm.
time I feel it because like you know we at first when it first had the outbreak in Hong Kong, people queue up to like 7 hours just for a box of masks. So yeah, you know how short in a short take it was. So but then you know face masks were quite a luxurious item back then, but because like not really, especially for elderlies, they won't really if they do not have a like social media, they won't really know where to queue or buy a mask. So
Yeah.
sometimes when people see other people without a face mask on the street, at first they will be like kind of judging, but then after knowing that maybe the elderly don't they can't actually buy a mask. There's no way they can buy it. So, and then people start giving
Oh,
that
that's cool.
elderly mask and stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's why it feels like people are still like so warm. It's
Yeah.
it's you know it's really kind of rare to feel it in Hong Kong because like everyone just
Because
work
it's
and
so fast paced and
yeah.
very work focused. Yeah.
I
That's
thought people
really
won't
cool.
care about these stuff. So yeah, that was quite touching.
That's cool. Yeah, and I think that's happened here in America too. Like you've definitely seen people figure out how to be extra kind and care for people. And you know, like there's definitely people that are complaining, but there are also amazing people that are looking to serve other people
Yeah.
and try to make sure that elderly people are taken care of and families are taken care of, which is really cool. So I love how like I mean, as difficult as a pandemic is, which is a crazy thing to say, it's awesome to see how sometimes it can really bring the best out of people. Uh, what advice would you give to people in America about coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, like, really seriously, don't be afraid or don't hesitate to wear a mask. Wearing a mask doesn't mean that you're sick. It's just a kind of a protection for yourself and for other people as well. And I mean, enjoy your days during your quarantine because, like, I know it's maybe boring, but then like find things that you. I mean, like, take this time for the things that you don't have time for
Mm-hmm.
before because like I know staying at home may be boring for some people, but then yeah, really use this time to enjoy some things that you have never really spent time on. And also yeah, I know it's hard, but it's really less physical and I mean face-to-face direct contact with people, but then yeah, so that will seriously learn from Hong Kong because like as from the statistic you can see, I mean Hong Kong people really did well on
Yeah.
this. So we
Yeah, I
really
mean,
don't.
it is like it's amazing that the statistics show like when people took it seriously from the beginning, the number of cases that were brought like are so low compared to when everyone's like, I think we're probably gonna be fine, and then now we have thousands of people who are affected. Oh, my friend Lauren wants to know, Erica, what was the best thing you did during your quarantine?
To be honest, I don't really have a quarantine because I in Hong Kong we just need our quarantine if we went to other countries in the last I guess 1 month. Yeah. So that's why I don't really need a quarantine, but then I'm still staying home. And I spent time tidying my room, my own room, because like I during this school days I don't really have time to do it, and I found a lot of like old stuff and memories, and that's what I enjoy a lot as well because like I don't really have the time to do it normally. Yeah, so that's why during the quarantine when I spent most of the time at home. And one more thing, I spend a lot of time with my family. That's what I really like appreciate a lot because like me and my brother both don't have school these days, and sometimes my dad don't really have to go to work because of work from home. Yeah. So that's why we had a lot more time spending together. And because I don't have to swim these days, so we enjoy time eating together. Yeah.
So you guys don't have to even do school online right now?
We have to do school online, but it's quite flexible to do it.
That's good. Tell the people, if anyone has any more questions, totally drop them. But what are the 3 things you would recommend people to watch during quarantine? Like whether it's Netflix or YouTube or a show?
To be honest, I don't really watch shows often, but then I used to read books and stuff because like
you're so good. Great job.
And maybe because like we still have school, so that's why I still spend time having revision and stuff. Yeah, but it's really so I don't really have something to recommend, to be honest. I'm sorry about that. Just enjoy the time you have during your quarantine. Don't feel like you're being like trapped in your home. Think it in another way that will make you feel better.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you could teach everyone in America one phrase in Cantonese or one word, what would you teach them?
What about what do you want to learn? It's hard to think of one.
Maybe teach them how to say I'm stuck in my house.
Oh, okay. In Chinese we call it 我俾人困住咗喺屋企。
我俾人困住咗喺屋企。Is that right?
Okay means home, and 困住咗 means stuck and trapped.
我俾人困住咗喺屋企。
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell everyone that they should DM you their audio files of them trying to say it if they're from the United States. So if you're watching, just try to DM Erica your Cantonese. It'll probably be super good. Oh, Kristen wants to know how to say bubbles in Cantonese.
Bubbles? Po po. You mean the like like the bubble. It's po po.
Po po.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And if you're bored, you can say 好悶啊. I'm bored.
Oh yes. I'm bored is 好悶啊. That's a good one. You guys should Kristen loves that bubbles is po po. Wait.
Yeah.
I get the tones wrong because that's very close to grandma on your mom's side. Po po.
Yeah.
Po po.
Yeah, that's po po.
Po po is grandma on your mom's side.
Yeah.
But that's not bubbles. Bubbles is po po. Po po. Dang it.
Yeah.
This is hard. Yeah. So
I mean,
very, very difficult.
Yeah, imagine the mother on your father's side and the mother on your mother's side is different.
Yes. Wait, your grandma, your dad's mom, grandma is mama.
Yeah, mama.
And your grandma on your mom's side is po po.
Yeah, it's different.
It's different. Everybody has like a different title. So your uncles on your dad's side are different than your uncles on your mom's side. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So everyone,
even as Hong Kong people get confused sometimes when calling your
yeah,
friend.
that's very nice of you to say to all of us here in America. But you know, if you're watching and you want to practice your Cantonese and probably give Erica a laugh, send her some DMs of
Yeah,
you trying to say "home and
yeah, and correct your
我喺屋
accent.
企，我俾人喺屋企困住咗. Is that it?
Yeah, yeah, you got trapped in your home.
I'm practicing. I'm trying to get better. Well, I hope I get to
Yeah,
see you in the fall.
yeah, I hope that we don't have to wear face masks by then. Yeah, I'm really excited to see you if we really get a chance to.
Yes, to
Because
hang out.
it's almost been 20 years.
I know. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for teaching me so much about Hong Kong. I loved it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me as well. And I really like
That is so rude, Inez.
yeah. Yeah, and thanks for having me, and I really appreciate the like quarantine with Christine, this whole thing, because like yeah, it brought a lot of joy, and I watched live, yeah, I watched the playback because it's so early in Hong Kong. Yeah, but yeah. Thanks for
Well,
having the
it's
show.
amazing. Like, if it wasn't for the coronavirus, we would never be having this conversation.
Yeah,
So even for
yeah,
that,
and
I'm very grateful.
yeah, I miss you too, Ines, and it's so like I mean, it's if it's not social media, I'm really thankful that we get the chance to like communicate and be connected in such a way.
Yeah, me too. Well, you're amazing. I hope that the coronavirus is dead by the fall so we can come see you, and we miss you.
Yeah, and I hope I can visit the America
Yes.
soon, maybe.
Last question.
Right.
If you could come to America tomorrow, what would be the one place you would want to see if there wasn't coronavirus?
I guess I would go to the New York first because like I feel like the pace and all the stuff were like I know this place for a long time, but I've never been to it, so I would like to have a glimpse at whether it is really as fast as Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then after like really going to the New York, I guess I will spend more time in places where it is more relaxing, or I mean more rural areas for me.
Yeah. We'll
And
take
to
you to
really
like
have
we'll take you to cool, relaxing places like the Grand Canyon.
yeah,
Not
we
like
need that in
Illinois.
Hong Kong. Because like Hong Kong, there isn't really much places for relaxing or entertainment. I mean that like modern entertainment.
Yeah, that makes
Places
sense.
for modern entertainment is there are places for modern entertainment, but then like for example the bars and clubs and all the like stuffs. But yeah, we kind of need a more natural and go back to the nature. Yeah.
Inez says, come see me in New York and then we can stare at cows in New Hampshire. So sounds like we already have your trip planned. So and my mom wants you to go see her in New Hampshire. So we love you, Erica. Thank you so much for joining me today and teaching me so much. I hope that everybody learned a ton of things because I did. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah. Keep in contact. Yeah.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.